Hello and welcome everyone. I'm your host Stefan Burns. I lost my voice. I genuinely was shocked when I saw this, and I'm the guy that covers this and believes it, and we've seen earthquakes and solar explosions exactly coordinated together in time before. That's exactly what just happened within the past few hours. At 21:52 Universal Time, we had a 6.9 earthquake strike the Peru-Chile Trench. This is one of the biggest subduction zones in the world, site of the magnitude 9.5 back in 1960. And, well, it occurred precisely when we had not a big or a large, but a gigantic explosion on the far side of the sun. Colossal, gigantic. It was a huge solar storm that launched off at incredible velocity, and we're very thankful that it's not hitting us. We can see it with our CCOR imagery here, our coronagraph imagery, going out very clearly. This is a wide view, so this just shows you the extent of this plasma storm. Again, not Earth directed, though we are right now in an S1 proton radiation storm as a result. This was so powerful that we are already receiving high energy protons from this explosion on the far side of the sun, which we can see right here with our proton flux. And there shows the S1 storm. And so it takes a little bit of time for protons to reach Earth, but the faster they are, the faster they arrive. Look at this. By 2220 minutes universal time, that's right when things started to kick up. 10 minutes later, we're starting to get an increase in our flux. So 30 minutes after this explosion occurred, we started having these high energy protons reach us, and we see that very clearly here with our 304 angstrom view. You have to watch it. You actually see it explode across the entire top, but you'll really see it clearly there. But it's so fast. It's so fast. Give this a watch. It's very, very fast. Now we can also look at it here. Okay, this is slowed down. You'll see it come out after this explosion. There it is. See that? See how fast it is? Give this a watch. Boom. That's incredibly fast. So that's why this is already propagated so far out into interplanetary space. We are very grateful this did not hit us. This sunspot just rotated out of view. The sun rotates this way, and it just rotated out of view. But very clearly, and we look at our closest view of the sun, our KCOR imagery, okay? We can see right here that shockwave explosion radiate out. And look at the time. See where it starts? It starts at 2150. And within about 3 minutes, you already have this plasma filament launching off the surface. That earthquake was at 10:52 p.m. Universal Time. Exact same time this occurred. To the minute, synchronized. Once you're within 10 minutes, you're fine, basically, because it's all happening simultaneously. But this is literally to the exact moment this gigantic explosion on the far side occurred. We had this magnitude 6.9 strike in Chile, in this big, powerful subduction trench, right where it bends. That is not a good place, because in general, if you get strong fault zones and you put a kink in them, that's how they build up this stress to form really big earthquakes. If you know California at all, you know that there's two bends in the San Andreas, and it's when these sections unlock that you have the potential to get a near magnitude 8 or a magnitude 8 megaquake on the San Andreas. This is transform fault, right lateral. Here it's subduction, way different. Again, the maximum for this area observed, recorded, 9.5. That's 10 plus minutes of solid ground shaking. You have the earth literally moving like waves. And these are high magnitude waves. It's not just, a couple inches, a few centimeters. These are multiple feet like this rolling through the landscape as everything gets destroyed. So this could be a foreshock. If we list our earthquakes on the map, we see our 6.9 and we see a 4.8. That's our highest magnitude. Now we would expect a 5.9, basically magnitude 6, as our highest magnitude aftershock. That's a typical rule of thumb. And if we click this, they'll have a forecast percentage for whether we're going to get what they think. Maybe it's not even on here yet. I don't think they have it on here yet. That's fine. Basically, usually get one magnitude less, so 5.9. We haven't seen it yet, doesn't mean we're not going to, but if in the next 2 days it doesn't happen, now it's an anomalous earthquake. It could be a foreshock, because foreshocks are less likely to have, for a bigger quake, let's say magnitude 8, because a 6.9 could be a foreshock to up to magnitude 8. It could even scale a little bit beyond that, but that's kind of the deal. Here we see our moment tensor plot for this. And this is a very strong normal extensional event. So subduction, because you got the plate going down and it was about 110 kilometers below the surface and it looks like the plate ripped. And there was a bit of extension as the subducting slab basically got pulled apart. So that's what this appears to be. So it's not some sort of reverse earthquake, which is good. Those are typically the most deadly. But this is a big quake, 6.9. And it's not happening in rhythm with the sun in some aspects. See, here's the thing. If we go to my website, earthevolution.com, and there's a web store if you want, by the way, variety of things that we offer, all shipped in the United States, made here, organic, whatever. You click live data, okay? This is the Earth Analytics webpage. I have a variety of data feeds embedded on here. We can look at our earthquake rhythm that's been synchronized with the sun's coronal hole, the biggest one. And we see it follows this clear pattern here, like this. And we've traced this back to 2025. This 6.9 is out of rhythm with that, but again, it's perfectly synchronized to this gigantic explosion on the sun. Think of it this way, if you're not convinced. You have the two most outlier events, right? This is the biggest earthquake since April 20th. It's May 25th right now. So this is the biggest earthquake in 35 days approximately. That's an outlier event for sure. And it's in South America. I think this is the biggest quake in South America, at least in a year. We'll have to look. You have that simultaneous with an extreme outlier event on the sun. So that's the significance. And it's exactly coordinated at the same time. So this is showing us that this is in fact perfectly synchronized with the sun, just as the other earthquakes were synchronized with the coronal hole activity. But this does show us that we are able to have earthquakes outside of that coronal hole rhythm. And in fact, that is going to continue to occur because as we move out of solar maximum into descending phase and solar minimum, you start to get more earthquakes. There's an anti-correlation between the two. In general, during solar maximum, you get less high magnitude quakes than during solar minimum. So the fact that we've been having quite a lot of high magnitude quakes is a big deal during this solar maximum because of these coronal holes. They've loaded the Earth with a ton of energy. Now we're going to start getting quakes that pop off when they're not perfectly synchronized because the coronal holes may go away, but as we go into solar minimum, we're going to start getting some big quakes. And in areas that haven't been resonating with the coronal holes. The coronal holes have been driving like all the activity over here. Let's do our calculation here. We'll search our earthquake catalog and we'll set this for magnitude 6.5 and we'll set this going all the way back to the beginning of 2025. So a little bit, actually almost a year and a half is what we'll look at here. And search. Satellite mode. Largest quakes, you see, look at how many have occurred over here. Western Pacific Ring of Fire. First quake for South America, over 6.5. You see that we had quite a lot of activity here in the Drake Passage with the Scotia Sea Plate. Okay, that's, you know, that's the other part of the Ring of Fire. That's important. We had this 6.5 Mexico there. That was the 2nd of January this year. And we've had some other quakes, for example, the 7.6 Cayman Islands in the Caribbean. So there's been activity in this side, but it's been concentrated to the, like the adjacent plates, the little minor plates, right? This is the Cocos Plate. You have some activity stretching up to Alaska. This is the Hubbard Glacier earthquake that occurred back in December on the 6th, right? That's due to kind of different faulting, not really Ring of Fire. You did just recently have this 6.6. Look at the proximity there, right? That's our last big earthquake, the 6.6. Now you have this 6.9 here in Chile. First one in South America since January 1st of 2025. And we can, I think, run it back even further. But again, look at all the magnitude 8.8 megaquake, all the magnitude 7s that have been popping off here, right? First big quake to start to balance it out. But there's a long way to go. We're well out of balance if we're talking about equivalent amount of rupture on these faults and slip and such. But this is perfectly synchronized. This quake right here, perfectly synchronized to this extreme explosion on the far side. Now it's interesting that I released a video today discussing the sun and the sunspots we have rotating in, and basically saying, hey, the next 2 weeks we're going to have a lot of opportunities for solar activity. We've been actually having quite a lot of X flares on the far side of the sun over the past week. So there's, I think, been at least 3 X flares on the far side of the sun. I think it might actually be 5 from some of these sunspots which are now rotating into view. This one clearly being an X flare. We'll have to wait and see what the solar orbiter probe says. Once it refreshes its data, it's going to have caught that on camera. That video is not available yet. That was a big event. We're already seeing again an S1 proton radiation storm from it. But this is a new wave of activity that's coming in right now. So I had a feeling something was coming in. That's why I made a video today on Memorial Day. First thing, woke up before hanging out with friends all day. Like I was like, I got to knock out a video. I don't really know what to talk about because there's nothing happening right now, but I know there's going to be. So I'll give people the heads up. And well, check this out. Here's where things really get crazy. Okay? We had a fireball come in over Mayon volcano in the Philippines. Check that out. And the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology said that it burned up in the atmosphere. Maybe. I haven't seen a report for this fireball yet on the American Meteor Service. They calculate the trajectories and everything. And there's 2 different camera views we have of this event. I'm showing you one from Phivolcs. There's another one out there floating around. You can see it on my X account at Stefan Burns Geo. The camera angle is like right on the mountain for both of these. And the other one's really zoomed in. And this fireball wasn't super far off. This was a very local event that basically hit right outside the slope of Mayon volcano or on the slopes of the volcano. Now what this video doesn't show is that afterwards, this orb of light rises up. And the video, you can watch this on my X account. All right. So that occurred hours before this earthquake and solar event. So I don't know what that orb is. And I don't think it's a plane or something, because the coincidence for that would be so remarkable for it to be perfectly aligned, even though it's like a parallax trajectory, for it to be perfectly aligned with that vector of the meteorite, which you clearly see is very close to the volcano coming straight down. And then about 5 to 8 seconds after it hits, you get this thing to rise up almost exactly along the same trajectory. Again, we'll get the Phivolcs one in here. And that occurred before this all happened. And so we know today is the synchronicity because of this earthquake sun, precise to like the second baby connection. So I don't know what's happening. I don't know what that is. Like what this whole thing is. Like this could be literally a Goku and Goku, Vegeta, Nappa, whatever in Dragon Ball Z moment where like the pod comes in and then they blast off. I have no clue, but it is, people right now are asking for the next 1 minute of footage from them. And there hasn't been a reply. This is just now circulating around. So that in and of itself is worthy of like a video. But then I saw that the earthquake and the solar explosion were occurring at the exact same time. So that's what's happening, everybody. Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Stefan Burns, geologist, geophysicist, space weather guy. Trying to understand what the heck is happening. Is this literally an alien invasion? Like, it's, you know, people joke about this and everything, and I'm kind of joking right now. But really, like, it could happen. Like, we could legit have an alien invasion. It's not outside the realm of possibility. I don't think it's a likely possibility, but it's not outside the realm of possibility. And when you see evidence that it makes you like, okay, like, is that actually a possibility? We should really pay attention. And that's what has happened just in the past 12 hours. This is local time for Mayon. And look at that. This local time is almost the exact same as the UTC time in terms of it being at like 10 something p.m. What is it with like 10 something p.m.? Weird things are happening right now at night. So it's crazy. This is crazy. I don't exactly know what to think of this, but the other thing that I just kind of add into my characterization of this event is that when significant things happen, anyone that pays attention knows that the universe often reaffirms that thing was significant with some sequence of significant and unusual events. You call like a synchronicity, where there's this meaning that is very clear. Like you find a wallet on the ground and the guy that has the exact same name and birthday as your dad or mom or whatever, but they're not them, obviously. Then that's a crazy moment. You're like, wait, because you're like going through trying to figure out who it is. You look at their license, you're like, wait, you have the same birthday as my dad and the same name. What are the chances? Well, it's called a synchronicity, folks. So this solar earthquake combo, so clearly synchronized, I interpret as this is a synchronicity to just pay attention to right now what's happening cosmically. The sun, obviously, you know, not being here on Earth. It's broadening our awareness, at least at the solar system level. Well, where do you think this is flying in from? The solar system. Then you get some thing to fly up from it afterwards. So yeah, things have been crazy. Let's just say that. Things are very wild right now, and I don't have really answers for you other than I think things are about to get even crazier. I think this July is going to be nuts, and I think we're just starting to ramp up into that, and this is just like the beginning of this wave all through July. We have this incredible geocentric planetary geometry in July that is very rare. You basically never see this. And before that, we have our Jupiter-Venus conjunction on the 9th. One of the reasons I posted my video earlier today discussing this buildup that we're going to, because that's a planetary alignment that's kind of showing that we're building up to something. And well, about 12 hours later, we saw that come true. Now, just to confirm with you, we'll look at our X-ray flux, and we see here, this is right around the time of the event, but remember it was 21:52 that the earthquake occurred, and that was right when the explosion happened. you see that this is data for the Earth-facing side of the sun. You don't see any spike here. So again, this is a far side event. Just really making that clear that this was a far side event on the sun, not Earth-directed. We see that obviously there. But we know this isn't Earth-directed, but we are in an S1 radiation storm right now. So the timeline of events is that we have this fireball fly over Mayon volcano, like fly down and looks like seemingly hit the area around this volcano that's been exceptionally active in 2026. One of, actually probably the most active volcano in 2026. It's erupting every single day now. And it's had big pyroclastic flows. Now there's been other eruptions like at Kilauea with like a lot of volume of lava, and this eruption at Teton Ridge and the Bismarck Sea is probably the largest of 2026, but Mayon's been exceptionally active. You have this meteorite come down. Within about 5 seconds, you have this plasma orb rise up right along that same vector and fly off to who knows where. And then just hours after that, you get a double gigantic solar flare, coronal mass ejection on the far side combination with a magnitude 6.9 earthquake that struck Chile at depth 110 kilometers. And I'm not done because you can look at the time this occurred, okay? So we have our time and date here. And for Chile, they have sunset right now. They're southern hemisphere, right? They have sunset right now around 5:50 p.m. It depends on where. The further south you go, the less it's going to be. So I guess we should find the closest location to this. Let's go back to our map and find the closest location here. Antofagasta, maybe that'll work, or Campiampo. Okay, here we go. They're going to have it set slightly earlier, but Campiampo, and there, here's Antofagasta. 6 p.m. sunset. The other one is at 5:56 p.m. Okay? 21:52 universal time is the time of the earthquake. Okay? Right? 21:52. Well, Chile is UTC -4. So it's very precisely tight. That time code, meaning that 21:52, 9:52 universal time -4 is 5:52 p.m. That's exactly at sunset. So right as this location on the globe is rotating away from the sun, just on the other side of the sun, which is like the sunset region for the sun, you have this explosion. So it formed this perfect symmetry where the sun is slowly rotating, the earth rotates just like this, and then as they both hit that vector angle, boom, they go off. That's crazy. That's wild. That's really, really crazy in my opinion. Let's click this and confirm that it's UTC -4. Not sure I'll find that information though. Should be UTC -4. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Time zone of Antofagasta, Chile, UTC -4. So, another added level of significance and symbolism into this, right? It could have also been significant if it was right at, you know, the sun was exactly overhead or sunrise, but it wasn't some random time, like in between those. And again, because it was sunset, that's actually the most significant because again, if we go to our sun here, the sun rotates out like this. So this is sunrise for sunspots and solar activity, you could say. This is sunset for sunspots and solar activity. If once they rotate out, that's kind of like now they've rotated into the dark. So you see that this is just beyond the limb. We can look at it also here with our far side view. And it's this sunspot right there. Pretty sure. Based on the angle and everything, this is our 180. So that line right there, it's just beyond the limb. And this is about 24 hours out of date. So it actually occurred, that sunspot moved about to maybe like here or so. So that's the sunspot that generated it. So again, you see how the alignments are all perfect. Really crazy stuff. So let us do a question and answer, because that's the presentation. I basically just see this as indicating that we have quite some activity headed our way. This came out of the blue. It's very energetic and powerful. I don't think it's obviously not random. Obviously not random, right? Anyone that thinks it's random after this, I mean, I don't know what they're smoking, okay? Because it's synchronized to the minute. And we've seen this actually quite a few times. Japan has these earthquakes that often are like to the minute with solar flares and more. And that happened with Hubbard Glacier actually. Right here, see this? This is at 2041 Universal Time, okay, on the 6th of December. Let me give you another one here. We'll look at our X-ray flux. This one was Earth facing, if I remember right. And we'll just check it. Okay. Just gotta zoom out, get to the right spot. And we want December 6th. Okay. I think that's it right there. December 6, 2038 Universal Time. Let's go back here. And December 6, 2041-49 Universal Time. So let's zoom in on that even more. 2042, we can round it up to. And we see that this flare hit us at 2039. Now it's at full strength. And just about 3 minutes into that, we had Hubbard Glacier, magnitude 7. Same magnitude range too, by the way. Basically 6.9 versus 7, right? This is the magnitude 7 there. So that's another example that I can pull up just from this recent data set. I'm pretty sure there's another one in Japan too. Actually, there's actually quite a few in this, if I remember correct, because we've covered all of them on the channel. So it's fast, and you start to apply significance to significance, right? If you look at the timing between solar flares and earthquakes and using earthquakes magnitude 5, you're not going to see anything because there's always magnitude 5s popping off. And you have to also use like big events too. So if you're just using like small solar flares, yeah, you're having them all the time. But this was a gigantic solar flare on the far side. We have the S1 proton storm as proof, right? We have the imagery and everything showing it. We have it nailed down to the time, magnitude 6.9 right on it. Hubbard Glacier, you know, that was right directed towards us. If we look here, that was a big, big, big flare. It's not one of these little pissy ant ones, right? It's like the big flare of this time period. In fact, we had quite a lot of activity then, but that one is precisely synchronized. And that was a big earthquake. It's here on our map of the biggest earthquakes of the past 18 months. So really, when you take it apples to apples and you use these are the most significant events and these are the most significant flares and what's the timing, everything, all of a sudden it jumps out at you. It basically says, hey. Antoinette is saying, I brought up the astrology chart. There's a kite formation with the moon at the bottom opposite Neptune. Let's check it out. I was going to check it out and I just kind of was like, there's probably something, but we can check it out exactly. Let's just get a good location for this though. Calama, Chile. Let's see if it pops up. think that might be it. It occurred at, well, it's 22:52 local time. It would be 18:52 because you're doing UTC -4, and this is the magnitude 6.9. Wow, yeah, okay, that's very nice. Look at that. We have our kite. You have the Sun and Uranus there. You have Neptune and Saturn there. You have Pluto there. This is ongoing formation. Jupiter is activating into this bucket that's starting up in like June, July. But look at the moon there with these perfect oppositions. And then as a result, with these trines as well. So you get this perfect kite formation, just like this, exactly at that moment. So now we have another level of significance. And because that comet was blocking the screen, just FYI, there we go. Right, there's the information for the calculation. So, wild stuff. Really wild stuff. Good question from Sherry DeSantis. Tell us about the antipodal area. Let's look it up. I haven't done it yet. Super tunnel. And it's going to be, again, Calama. Hopefully that pops up. Antipodal area is China. And that's actually pretty interesting because if we go to our latest earthquakes and we switch this to our, I think we should be able to get it with our 7-day view, we will notice, or I guess maybe 30-day view. Look at these two magnitude 5s that popped off in China here that were quite destructive. Orange pager, magnitude 5.1, magnitude 5, back on the 17th and on the 18th of May. So not even 10 days ago, but right there, that's almost exactly the antipode. And these were destructive. These were very notable for their, some of these buildings in China just like collapsed with the magnitude 5. They get a lot more shaking with China because of the sedimentary rock there and such. But look at that. The exact antipode, almost exactly on the epicenter of that double sequence. That's notable. I mean, I wouldn't pin everything on it personally, but it is notable because of the shaking and more. The flare is not Earth directed. How did it affect the Chile earthquake? Well, yeah, that's a good question. But basically, there's some deeper causal factor here, right? Maybe there was, I mean, I really don't know. But clearly, we see they're connected. So we go observationally first to then try to figure out the causal connection. And you could, you know, the ether, there are certainly energies and fields that we don't even know of yet. We're not even aware of them, which is where the idea of an ether serves a good purpose. You could also have an electromagnetic connection because it is that quick. They occurred at precisely the same time. But let's say there's some sort of cosmic energy coming in that is like a trigger and activator, then perhaps that could do it. I don't exactly know. But it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. And we can actually even go here just to see what side of the Earth was facing it. And so we're going to have to go back to like 52 for me to get the exact facing side. So right here. But yeah, so we can see there, this is North America, but South America is further back. So they're just rotating out of view. and this flare occurred from just over here. So they're actually opposite directions like this, but with the same alignment and trajectory, right? Like there's, see that matching, how they're matching precisely. And then if you take into account that kite formation, here's the moon and all the outer planets are over here. So this could be planetary, because here's our outer planets. I actually have a pretty good alignment here. Look at this: Venus, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, Neptune. But if you take the location of that flare, it's effectively right out along Neptune and Saturn, like this. And we know that the planets emit electromagnetic signals too. We can look at that really quick. So let me pull up the relevant data for that. Here it is: planetary radio frequency emissions. You have auroral radio frequency. These are non-thermal emissions. Their flux density is low. There are other things that they do as well. It's not just this. But we do see that there are emissions from Neptune, Uranus, Saturn, and Jupiter. And this is in the kilohertz to megahertz range. So there is, this, and we know also, look at like what they do with astronomy. They put these telescopes out. They don't have to have one giant mirror or dish. They can have, let's say, 20 telescopes spread out across a huge field or even like a mountainside, and that can act as one giant dish that way. And so with the planets in a certain geometric relationship, perhaps they're acting almost like these dish networks, and either there's some resonance pattern with their own frequency that create, like there could be a standing wave created from that, and that triggered the event. Or we know that electromagnetic radiation coming in can destabilize plasma. That could trigger an event on the sun. It could be maybe a receiver for some sort of cosmic high, super high frequency energy, or ethereal energy that we're not yet aware of. But the timing is so crazy that even if it is coincidence, let's say even if it is coincidence, anyone that's smart will stop and evaluate all the data and really examine things closely and do their absolute best to try to see what figure things out, think outside the box, because that is that opportunity for perhaps a paradigm shift understanding, right? We had Leonardo da Vinci, and at one point he was not dreaming up magic inventions, and then all of a sudden he was, because he received the insight. Or Newton existed and was walking around, and we didn't have the concept of gravity, and then all of a sudden, I guess an apple bonked him, and he did. So there are these transition moments where something happens that can cause us to be like, what was this? And maybe we can actually figure it out, or we can just put our heads in the sand and be like, oh, it's nothing, it's just a coincidence, right? And then the universe will lob another softball our way, maybe 200 years, and be like, maybe this time they're smart enough to figure it out. Let's give them a good show, and hopefully that time you get it, right? How many gravity moments did the universe lob our way, and we just totally botched them, and we were completely clueless? Like, I'm sure a whole bunch. I'm sure the universe is always throwing these opportunities our way to learn things and to have new perspectives and understandings. And then you add in that fireball and the weird plasmasphere, like rising up seconds after that fireball. I mean, it impacted, baby. It impacted. I don't know what else you could call that, right? Like, look at the angle. This is not looking up like crazy, and we know that came in right nearby. I mean, that's something's impacting. Something, it doesn't have to be big, but we saw the plasmasphere rise up afterwards. We're waiting to get that up-to-date video from the other source. It may be accessible now. I mean, it would have had to just get posted, but Someone right here. Oh no, it's something else. Okay. Yeah, so this is all I got for you. I'll continue to research into this, look into it, figure out what the heck is happening. There's more data feeds, of course. Oh, maybe, I think that one's slowed down. Yeah, okay, that's not it. I'll hopefully get better info on this plasma orb that rose up after this meteorite impact. But you can get more, you can stay up to date and everything by going to my X account, and that video there's me right now. There's that video and other things. So this is the place to go to stay up to date if you really want to be on top of it. So we'll do more questions. We'll take some from the general audience, and then I'm going to sign off. So you're quite welcome. Thank you so much. And I'll link that video in the video description, by the way. Here's someone, Aaron, saying synchronicities are hitting me like crazy today. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That makes sense, because these things aren't just affecting, let's say, the Earth and this earthquake and the sun, whatever, but they also affect us. So some people may have felt a strong push of energy exactly at that time. Maybe you got a headache or suddenly got sleepy or whatever. I know my friend arrived. If it was 2:52 p.m., then he had just gone over, ate, and then basically like immediately passed out and took a nap for like 15 minutes. It was funny. If we look here really quick with our American Meteor network, we don't see that event yet on the database because this would be for the Philippines, so no one's reported it yet. But we do have that direct video footage from 2 different sources. It's a wild synchronization and confluence. Yes, I agree. It's really quite crazy. And people are asking about the Schumann. I checked. There's nothing in the Schumann on this. I could pull it up really quick, but there's nothing on it. And that's the last thing I'll do. So we have our Schumann. Now, this is UTC plus 7. So we take 2152, time of the earthquake, time of the big solar explosion. You add on 7, you get 452 for this local spectrogram. And we have 5 right there. That right there is slightly afterwards. So, I mean, there is this this odd vertical energy right there. It's pretty minor. But it clicks in right after the event. So it's not precisely at 452. You know, you do see actually a deviation in the frequency there. See that? That's interesting. I didn't notice that. It's good to pick up. It's also when the frequency is typically the weakest, right around this time frame. But you do see this increase, because this is a 40 hertz down there and 0 hertz up top. So it's actually increasing in frequency. And that is a typical signature of pre-earthquake signals, is that you get them to increase. So, you know, but this is showing it occur like a couple hours beforehand. So, you know, it starts to get interesting now, because if that is the case, we're seeing, and I'm not convinced by this, but, you know, it's interesting. If that is the case, we're seeing the Earth actually show a measurable signal of something soon to occur, like 2 hours before the synchronized earthquake solar blast. So how does that work? Because the solar blast is the big random kaboom thing. But I would need to look at this more. I think it honestly, well, I don't know, it is a little odd. It's too early for me to say anything conclusive, saying yes, I think that's pre-earthquake signal. No, I don't think it is. I'm glad I did check. Let's just say I'm glad I checked again. Thank you. So we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, everyone. We have very likely a lot more coming, just in terms of events like these, synchronicities like these. And I don't know what that meteor was and what rose up afterwards. It was quite slow, but also not super slow. Like, it wasn't 10 feet a second. You know, it was moving pretty quick. So maybe a plasmoid coming up. I saw a plasmoid myself a couple nights ago, but it's super tiny in the city, just walking around, but very tiny. But this is like a big thing. So if we all of a sudden get a wave of these things coming in, don't worry, I will let you know. Like, I will keep you in the know. So please smash that thumbs up button. Really helps the channel grow, pushes it out to people. And subscribe to stay up to date. I have a clips channel as well at Stefan Burns Clips. I cover everything, as you saw: earthquakes, solar activity, planetary alignments, all the things, consciousness, open-minded, inquisitive, curious. I research like crazy. That's kind of my MO. So, and I jump on things when they happen. So most people will be covering this tomorrow in their videos. We're doing it now. As soon as I could, I got the live stream up. We're here. So thank you all. All of you make this possible. So much love and thanks from me to you. And I hope you all had a fantastic Memorial Day weekend for everyone in the United States. For everyone else, I hope you had a wonderful weekend and Monday as well. And I'll see you all in the next video. Ciao.